Tech News Weekly is sponsored by Hover.com. Go to gfu.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an easy-to-use online invoicing service that saves you time, gets you paid faster, and makes you look professional. Get started completely for free at freshbooks.com. And by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ.
Starting Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Another Friday is here, and it's time for Tech News Weekly. I'm Adrian Zarian, joined by Suncast.
How's it going?
How you doing, Suncast?
Doing good. It's the end of the world, so I guess this is our last show.
Our last show. You're not making it to New York next week for Blog World.
No, we're canceling Blog World and all of that since, it's the end of the world.
I was just watching a thing on CNN. For people who don't know, a group of, radical Christians believe that the Rapture will be happening on the 21st of this month, which is tomorrow. It's already happened, I believe, in New Zealand, and no Rapture yet. People aren't floating to the skies. There are plans for people to take giant, blow-up dolls, fill them up with helium, and just release them up in the air to see what people's reactions are. I think that's single-handedly one of the most brilliant things I've seen.
What are those things called when everybody gets together to do something at the same time?
Flash mobs, yeah. So, it is crazy to think that, there are people that believe this, but it's even crazier to even think, this might even happen. So who knows? This might be all.
I'm going to a wedding tomorrow, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Let's end this one on a good one, right? Let's have a good show for once. It might be sign. They say that leading up to the end of the world, to Judgment Day, to the Rapture, certain events start happening. Flooding is happening all across this country. The horrible tsunami in Japan, and now Apple.
Don't worry about anything.
Apple, but this is the first. I think this is the obvious sign of the apocalypse. Malware attacks the Mac. Macs are no longer safe. Huge story today. Actually, this week in the tech news world, there is this misconception that Apple computers, Macs, are safe from viruses. You always hear, and I'm guilty of saying this, to telling people, well, if you don't want to get a virus, get a Mac. The odds of you getting it.
I have a PC.
Yeah, it's a good thing you have a PC. But it is. I'm guilty of this, and I do this all the time. I tell people, well, if you're new to computers and you really don't want to deal with the antivirus and dealing with that, get with a Mac. The odds of you getting a virus are a lot less. Well, that's starting to change as Apple is getting more of a market share. It's still tiny if you consider, if you bring up the global market share, which Windows is 90-something%. It's an extremely high number. Apple's only a couple percent, but every year when that percent goes up or goes up half a percent, the odds of these bad guys to start creating software for the Mac, that's, malware, viruses, all that stuff, are becoming a lot more.
Well, do you know where I think the real incentive for them is now that Apple has really saturated the market with smartphones and tablets?
Yeah.
So there's a bigger incentive there to develop malware and viruses that affect Mac.
Yeah, it's starting to happen, and it will happen. It's people. This is the thing. People say, well, Apple's safer. Mac's meant the software's better. No, it's not that the software is better. It's not that the Mac OS is better. It's the fact that bad guys aren't developing as much for Apple because it's pointless. You're going to spend all that time developing for something that only 5% use.
Well, generally, if I'm not mistaken, Macintosh is built on a Linux derivative.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that by nature does lend itself to be more of a secure platform than, say, something like Windows, where Windows is going to have a lot more vulnerabilities just because it's Windows.
Yeah, you could take that side of it, but I honestly feel that if Linux or Apple had more of the market share, it would be the opposite story. You'd be hearing about how when Apple's getting hacked and Apple's not safe, and you have all these antiviruses.
Well, Linux does get hacked.
Sure.
There are vulnerabilities out there. They're just not targeted in the same way.
Yeah. So this story that came out, Macintosh users are being targeted by malware that it acts as an antivirus, just like we've seen, we've seen for Windows over the last couple of years, that tricks people into buying software. The so-called rogue antivirus that has been hitting Windows machines, it's pretty much the same exact thing. Do you know what the name of this? I forgot the exact name of this antivirus is that they've...
It's actually going around by a few different names. I had this highlighted earlier. It's called Mac Defender or Mac Security or Mac Protector.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a fake antivirus program that's been around for a little while now. It's got different versions, which is why you have different names.
Oh, so it's so they're going by... Well, I don't know if I'm trying to figure out if I ever
generations.
saw...
It's evolved over the course of its life, you know?
What's funny is... People are... Here's my intern with my coffee. Thank you, intern. Thank you. You're welcome. And let's think of the social aspect of this. Windows users are used to having an antivirus on their computer. A lot of people, they think the computer comes with an antivirus. A lot of people have an outdated antivirus. So when they see this...
A lot of times computers do come with antivirus
it
software
comes with
already installed.
They have the Windows Defender... So when they see something that says Windows Defender, update your virus pay to save, the whatever, you might think it is your antivirus. Apple, Mac users, it's a different story. You don't have an antivirus. I mean, they do make antiviruses
it's like
for
Windows. Antivirus programs are a dime a dozen these days. But I really cannot name one particular antivirus program that's specifically for Mac.
I know that Nod32, ESET makes a Mac version. That's only really...
It's not highly marketed like it is for a Windows antivirus
No,
program.
because there's only 5% of the market. I mean, what real software do you know other than specific, editing software for the Mac that you see that's, out there, general software? You really don't see it. It's very niche products that you see for Mac that are advertised and have a big name. You really don't hear about the best antivirus for Apple because really... people don't put antivirus on Apple.
Well, a good example of that is Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally Microsoft, you think Windows and PC.
But this is over the last decade.
They do make versions for Macintosh.
Yeah, I mean, that's something new. That's over the last decade that they've been doing this. This is still a new thing for Mac users. It's fairly new. So now this is happening. It's a huge problem. The rumor, now this is the big story. Apple has been told to cover this up.
I don't know if they've been told to cover it up. I read an article that had, I believe, a memo, and it wasn't necessarily explained in the way that said to deny things. It just said that Apple doesn't really necessarily give support for such things as antivirus removal.
Yeah.
It's not that they're covering it up. It's that they don't necessarily support it.
Well, I heard I heard different stories. I read 2 different articles about this, and it was saying how, in one sense, they said, well, you can't give support. I know some people might have been calling, and there's really no support because there's no tools, really, how to remove this. Apple doesn't have their own specific ways of doing this. It's a new notion for them. The other thing I heard was that you really, by not supporting it, you're not admitting to it.
Yeah, I mean...
So it was a weird notion with that.
They are in a little bit of a denial that they're now being attacked by a large attack somehow. They don't quite understand what to do about it yet, I don't think. They don't necessarily have the tools to do anything about it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you want
It's
them
almost
to do?
like Tom said in
right now?
It's like a don't ask, don't tell policy. Don't speak about it. Don't mention it. There's no problem yet because they don't know how to fix this. How would you fix it if you were Apple? Because now this is right. Getting into weird territory because your whole model is, well, not the entire model, but an aspect of Apple is, well, we don't get plagued by malware and spyware and viruses. We don't have that issue. So now once you admit to it and once you start fixing it and you start coming up with software for it, you're kind of saying, well, no, we're not as safe as we've been telling you.
One of the things that Apple could do is plug the security hole that does allow this exploit to happen, which is in the JavaScript engine of their browser. That's where this starts, is that you end up on a web page when you click to buy this program, and it starts with JavaScript. It'll actually download and infect your computer with the malware.
Yeah. The menu is added to your, after installation, the menu is added to your Mac OS X menu bar. The icon looks like a small orange shield that turns red and flashes when viruses are found. If you fail to register and provide a credit card info, the malware will start to open up porn pages in your browser in any attempt to spur you to pay. The malware will then relaunch every time you log into your Mac, therefore until it is removed. It does not...
But how do you remove it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any article that says actually how to remove it.
I'll tell you, format. Wipe it off. Andrew's best. You know what? This is my antivirus. I format.
That's a geek's answer to everything. It's just to format.
I don't bother with it. You know, I have a neighbor, and he got a nasty bug on his computer, and he was going through everything. He was thinking about, what tools to get. And he's downloading this from CNET and that from CNET. And I look, I'm like, how much time did you spend on this? He goes, oh, about 2 days, 3 days. I'm like, do you have your things backed up? He's like, yeah. I'm like, do you have the restore disk? Yeah. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Just wipe it all out. Start fresh.
Yeah, so long as that virus hasn't affected your backup set, go ahead and format. That'll probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah. So let's see what else.
But there are things that there are viruses out there that can infect your backups. If you do like restore points on Windows, there are viruses out there that will infect your restore points.
So some things you could do to protect yourself. Don't visit untrusted websites, especially ones that prey on hot news topics. Don't install programs unless they come with reputable sources. I mean, these are all common sense things. Don't supply your admin password except when you initially install software that is trusted. So pretty much that's not really saying much on how to remove this horrible thing.
That's my point is what can you do about it? I mean, I think common sense to me is if you're Apple, you'd be looking at to plugging this exploit right now. That would be, I think, Apple's answers to something like this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They don't necessarily have tools out there to remove it, or they don't have their own antivirus removal tool.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to plug it, but still, the plug doesn't fix it, right? Once you have it.
No. I mean, you're still going to be infected. I mean, how easy is it to just simply reformat a Macintosh?
Very easy, actually. I do it all the time.
So
I do it every month. No,
okay,
I do it about every 2
than Windows.
Every 3 months. Simple, actually. It's very easy. It's very easy. What do you want? Look, the cat is now crying because Apple got a virus. The cat is crying. You hear this?
Yeah. So really, what you're saying is you're crying.
I am crying.
You're so upset that
I'm devastated right now.
Is now vulnerable to viruses.
I don't know. You know, for me to format the Mac, I'm gonna think about how I do it. It's fairly easy because all I do, everything is backed up already on the time capsule. So I don't need to
claim to fame. It just works or something like that.
Yeah, it's very easy. You know what the weird thing is? To format it, there's no coming from a Windows machine. You're used to it giving you the option, but with this, you got to go into utilities and then you got to open it up. You got to wipe it out. So there's like a totally different process. Not that it's hard, but it's different. You wipe it out very fast and you install. It's about a 45-minute process to format and reinstall.
That's not bad.
So it's not bad at all. Listen, I think they're all the same crap in the end. They really are. They really are the same thing in the end. Because it's all the same.
I don't get this whole don't ask, don't tell, cover up thing with Apple because I don't see it that way. I really don't.
What do you see it
I don't
as?
see them. I don't see them covering it up. I see them not knowing what to do. They don't necessarily have.
So what would you do if this was you? How would you answer this?
I don't know. It's there's not a whole lot you can do. That's the thing is you're stuck between a rock and a hard place in the sense that you don't really have any tools to give the customer. You don't really have any instructions. You can't really give them a step-by-step guide because there isn't one. They haven't written one yet.
Yeah.
I think now they would be in the process of going to figure out what the steps would be to remove something like this, what they can do, and then maybe then they'll tell their representatives how to explain it to the customers and what the customer should do when they call in.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to respond to this, right? The more people get this, and I'm sure people are going to get it. Listen, I was about to say something that was a little rude towards Mac users, but it might be true because there are a lot of novice Mac users, just like there are Windows users.
It's almost like at this point they're saying no comment.
Yeah, that's almost like what it's like.
When somebody gets in trouble, like somebody's arrested and they want the lawyer to comment or something with all the cameras on them, and they just say no comment. It's kind of like that to me.
But I want to go to this next Apple story, so we get it out of the way. The rumors are now coming out that the iPhone 5 is coming out. So it's amazing how we are.
That's been a rumor since the iPhone 4.
As soon as the iPhone 4 came out, they said, okay, iPhone 5 is coming out. And we already started, speculating on what it is. Now the rumor is that the iPhone 5 might not be the iPhone 5, but it might be the iPhone 4S, as that breaks.
According to 9 to 5 Mac, Apple has seeded what they say are prototypes of the next iPhone to developers, with anonymous sources saying that those prototypes look like the iPhone 4. One called it the 4S, and that's where we get the 4S from.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think they're going to do that S. They went to the second version of the iPhone 3G to the 3GS because wasn't the 3G... It was weird that there was a second generation, then the 3G, then they made the 3GS, which was a little bit faster, and it was an updated model.
Yeah, I still don't understand the 3GS thing. I mean, by history, if you look at the history, yes, it doesn't seem something out of the ordinary that Apple would do in releasing a 4S. They kind of already did that with the 3GS.
Yeah, but it's a different time. You have to also remember the competition that's out there.
So?
I
would not put it past Apple.
You have to remember. Well, what they did with the 3GS, it was a faster processor, bigger megapixel. There was video recording. It didn't have that before with the 3G. Dialing, music control it didn't have. It also had a faster wireless technology.
Well,
so the speed was nearly doubled with that. Updated Bluetooth. Better battery time. I mean, it was a major, major upgrade. I think they just did that so they don't call it the 4G because there was no body difference. Unless they, you know what, it does make sense. What if they didn't change the body? Then it might be the 4GS.
Yeah.
It does make sense. If they don't do any body difference or any, cosmetic. Well, what should, this is fascinating because you see.
What would you want them to do?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Where
the
do
Droid,
they go from here?
You went from the Droid to the Droid 2. It looks exactly the same.
Well,
people were upset.
The iPhone 1, 2, and 3 basically look the same.
Yeah, but there were little changes here and there.
Little changes. They weren't big like the iPhone 3GS to the iPhone 4.
I don't know. This is an interesting concept, and I've been reading a lot about it. And at first I said, well, this is stupid. They wouldn't do this. And I was thinking, yeah, why wouldn't they? Because the Droid Incredible is now the Incredible S. The S is, a popular thing now. Everybody has an S in their name.
Well, they're making all these different variations for different carriers nowadays, too, where you'll have, I forget what some of the ones were out. The Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, Galaxy S.
They have one for each carrier now and with a different model number.
I'm getting Jessica an iPhone. She's over the whole Droid thing. Her phone is nearly, and mine too. It's barely usable.
But when was the last time you guys upgraded?
November of 2009.
So it's been 2 years. So
yeah,
there's been tremendous leaps and bounds in mobile phone technology since then.
Yeah. So it's been about 2 years since we got our Droid.
I would expect that from a 2-year-old phone. That's the thing.
Well, it's a year and a half. I got it in November.
After 2 years of use, these things don't last forever. They don't make them like they used to. I mean, it's not like it's not necessarily like my old BlackBerry. These things are built to last.
Yeah, no. This phone has a lot of... But you know what the problem is? It's not hardware issues we're having. We're having software issues. I don't think... And I love Android, but it's not a developed OS yet. It has so many bugs, it's out of control. I mean, it's a buggy operating system.
I think, too, because carriers always want to meddle around with the operating system.
No, but mine isn't. Mine is not modified. This is a plain Android operating system. They did nothing. There's no skin on this. There's nothing on this. This is
what OS
stock.
are you running right now?
I'll tell you right now. It's a newer one. It's a fairly newer one about the phone. Let me tell you.
Well, Google always has been kind of
2.2.2
to release the 2.2.
2.2.2. I think they're at 2.2.4 now.
No, they've got 2.3 out.
2.3 and 2.
I can't remember. I can't remember all the different names for them. I think it's gingerbread or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know which one is which.
But it's a fairly upgraded one. They've upgraded it numerous times, and
but there is 2.3 out there, and generally for the newer versions, for the latest version of the operating system, Google wants you to buy the latest Android phone out there.
I don't know. I think this is the flaw in Android that I still think that the latest one is not that great.
Google per se.
Why that they're releasing so many?
Well, it's smart, but in the end, it's kind of bad for consumers because they have to go out and buy a new device if they want the latest operating system.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to have to wait, 4, 5, 6 months before they get it.
Well, it's a numbers game, and I've said this since day one. The reason why, first they want to make money because they want to team up with all these manufacturers, but it is a numbers game for Google because the iPhone is a dominant phone, and now every story you hear, Google takes the market, Google takes the market. Well, of course, Google is going to take the market with Android because look how many Android phones there are on the market. There's only one iPhone on the market. You don't have 5 manufacturers putting
I think
iOS.
If you look at Android in general, though, they are holding their own.
I think they are, but
did recently surpass RIM as being one of the top operating systems out there.
But why is that? In my opinion, I think that's because they've put the branding on everything. Every phone is an Android phone now. Every smartphone coming out is Android.
Is that bad?
Not that it's bad, but it gives this false number, in my opinion. I think the solution where Android is so much better. Why don't you compare a phone? What's the number one selling? Let's say what's the Nexus S?
Would you rather see Android be on just one handset?
No, I wouldn't see that. But the point is that I think it's a numbers game. I think Android is great. I think it has a lot of potential, but I can't say that it's better than the iOS. It's not. It's not better than the iOS.
I think there are fundamental differences in the way that Android is developed that makes it its own and unique thing, but also.
But you know what the problem is? It's not
what its Achilles heel is.
I think its Achilles heel is its infancy. I think the OS itself.
But it's been years now. It's been 3-4 years now.
I know, but
I don't think that.
But then what's the excuse then?
That.
But what's the excuse? I was very pro Android until I played around with all these Android phones, and
the excuse is the carriers and Google.
I don't think the carriers have anything to do with it. I think it's the fact that the OS is not fine-tuned.
They're always meddling around with changing the interface.
It's not the carrier.
They're not running a straight Android operating system on there.
But that's not the carrier.
With it.
That's not the carrier.
Any other phone out there.
But that's not the carrier, Suncast. That's the manufacturer.
Yes,
no, it's not. The carrier's not putting the skins on there. It's the manufacturer that's doing it. Verizon. There's no Verizon skin on my phone. I don't know one Verizon phone with all that stuff.
Things to the phone that they want to do.
I don't know. I think the skin, the manufacturers are responsible. Samsung does it. HTC does it. Motorola does it. They put all these skins on there, and it's not that great. But if I buy a Google phone, I buy it bare, I buy it stock, and I still don't feel that it's better than iOS. There's no comparison yet. I think the problem with Google is that it's sloppy.
I think they're both around being equal. I think they both have their pros and cons, and they both kind of equal each other out.
Well, Google now is putting out their music store, and Google's music store single-handedly has to compete with them. I mean, they have to be very aggressive to compete with the iPhone. The iPhone is still an iPod.
I don't know how you can compete on a first-generation software versus something that's been around for 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it because this is their... Does Google need it, though? Does Google need a music store? Is it important to have a music store on a phone? I mean, people talk about how it's important for... You think it is? You think it's going to drive people to buy that phone over an iPhone because it has the music store? I guess it can.
Oh, yeah. I think people will definitely look at a device based on its music opportunities.
Yeah. I guess I'm one of the few people that really don't care about the music aspect of it.
I could care less about the music aspect either. So I'm with you on that, but I do think a lot of people do want to use it for music. And the iPhone is far superior in that because it has had iTunes for 10 years now. So you're looking at something that has a 10-year history versus not even a 1-year history, not even a 6-month history with Google Music.
I guess so. I got to take a little break. We need to talk about our sponsor, hover.com. Domain name is made simple. Single-handedly the best place to get your domains. You don't have to deal with the upsell. You don't need to deal with the constant email blasts, the fear tactics into getting private registration, considering they put this in already. It's included in the price. You don't need to get a certified domain, which means absolutely nothing for another $6. At the end of that transaction with those other guys, you're up to about $30 when you're buying a website. With Hover, you don't deal with that. You don't have to deal with that constant upsell. If you go to hover.com now, or you go to gfq.hover.com, you can get 10% off your entire purchase, or you put in GFQ at checkout, and you get 10% off right there. Another great thing they're offering is $10 for .me's. They're running a .me promotion, so you could grab your name at .me, which is the latest craze right now, and get it for $10, which is great. And you get the promo code, of course, and you get another $1 off, so $9 for a .me. Go to gfq.hover.com. Domain names made simple. I want to go into the story here. I want to go into the broadband pricing story. They're saying 50% down from 2 years ago.
Yeah. I thought this was really interesting in a couple of different manners.
All right, go into it.
What they're saying is there was a survey done by, let me see who it was, the International Telecommunications Union. And they did a global survey that in the past 2 years, broadband globally has dropped in price by 50%. But here's the kicker. A lot of this has to do with developing nations, not necessarily us or Europe or Canada or anything like that. This is more the developing nations where you're seeing a 50% price drop.
Yeah, because they're running copper to all these countries. But what about in this country? I mean, have you noticed a price drop in your broadband per speed? I guess yes. If you look at the last 2 years, there is a price
speed,
per
yes,
speed.
But see, they don't necessarily say what it is. They're not saying by speed. They're saying broadband generally.
Yeah. See, that's
again,
the key.
Broadband itself is not a clearly defined term.
What do you consider broadband? Because we see that it's thrown around very loosely. What speed do you consider broadband?
Probably 3-4 megabytes per second or higher.
Because technically, broadband is anything over 64 kilobits.
Yeah, see, I think anything less than 2 is just no way. That's ridiculous.
I was reading about it. When I saw this article,
I looked at it.
I'm
a 28K modem again.
I was looking at the what the definition of broadband is, and the term started, in the late 1990s when DSL started coming out. That was when broadband started really being advertised, and the term started at around 64K. So the proper term is at 64K. So are we talking about 64K? Are we talking about 100K? Are we talking about half a meg for these countries?
Yeah.
This was a weird stat. I think price per speed has dropped, but in theory, prices have not dropped. Prices are as high as ever.
In the sense that we've continued on seeing our speeds upgraded over the last few years. However, I have not seen the price of my bill drop at all in the last probably 5 years.
Last week,
what I'm getting.
Last week we were discussing caps, broadband caps on the show. And I received an email from somebody, and they were saying how, pretty much said I'm full of shit to me. Because I said Time Warner Cable has broadband caps, has caps on their service. And this person has a Time Warner Cable subscriber, and they said they could download and upload whatever they want, and there's no caps. They never get flagged.
How do they know?
Now, this is the story with Time Warner Cable. Time Warner Cable had caps until 2010. It was openly they capped. Then they changed their pricing model. They said, well, no, there no more caps. They changed their pricing structure where they actually dropped the upload speed for certain packages. So they changed everything down where they dropped the upload speed to virtually garbage, and they upped the download speed so you don't upload. Now, Time Warner Cable still does cap you. And I've received emails over the last couple of years that we've been doing this, and I know from firsthand experience from people I know. What happens is if you actually have this saved, I have an email saved. So I want to get this correct. I want to get the proper terms correct because I asked the person what happens when they got capped. They actually got in big trouble with Time Warner Cable, and Time Warner Cable threatened to shut their service off. So let me find this email I have. God, where is this email?
It's in your inbox.
Yeah, no, I can't find it now. Crap. And it was a very good email they sent me when I wrote this out. Now I can't find it. That's a shame. So pretty much what it said was there's a login screen. So let's say you've been uploading and downloading a lot. For whatever, I don't know the exact limit. They have an internal cap where they flag your account if they see anything suspicious happening. Now, what is deemed suspicious? If you're BitTorrenting, if they see a huge boost in downloads and uploads that they haven't seen. And it's not
There's a
just
threshold, basically, is what you're
saying.
Sure,
I don't know the exact threshold. It could be anything because there's no specific number, but there is if they see something suspicious happening. Now, it's not necessary that you're doing anything. Somebody could be hijacking your speed. You don't know. Could be hijacking your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So what they do is they pretty much shut your internet down, and they have this screen that pops up that says, you have to call them up. When you have to call them up to kind of activate your service again. I have a friend, he was doing BitTorrenting, and he would download a ton of film, movies, TV shows. He was flagged. They shut the account down. The only way he could reactivate it is if he called Time Warner Cable, and they turned it back on, but they warned him not to be downloading, illegal material. So that is a cap. In my eyes, that's a cap. I mean, wouldn't you consider that a cap?
Oh, yeah.
What's your cap with Comcast? Because Comcast is notorious.
It's 250 gigabytes right now. And lately, you've seen cable carriers and ISPs bring out tools so that you can actually monitor your usage now. I can actually go to Comcast.net, log in with my Comcast credentials, and get a usage meter of how much bandwidth I've used in a particular month. It's not exactly accurate to the second, but you can get a pretty good day-by-day account of how much bandwidth you're using.
I'm trying to find this email because it was such a... Here we go. I got it. So pretty much the screen that in 2010, Time Warner Cable made it public that they were capping some markets, some major cities. It wasn't every city, but they were capping some of them. After 2010, they came up with a pricing structure. They capped they scrapped the bandwidth caps, but many people are still affected. They were still affected by the caps. It's clear in the terms of services. So this one person, it's called the Regional Abuse Control Screen. So when you open up your browser, this is what comes up. And a lot of people are affected by this if they use a online backup solution like Dropbox or Carbonite. Can you imagine?
Or if you're using Google Music and you're uploading your music library.
You're uploading your music library, Netflix, which we're going to go into right now. But that's even, you're still, let's say you're doing something with media there, right? This is just backing up your content. What if you have 200 gigabytes, 500 gigabytes of backup content to, put on this backup solution?
Yeah.
People are getting into big trouble with this. This is just one example with Time Warner Cable popping up the screen, which you have to call. And they've been, a lot of times they reactivate and they know what's happening. But how about with you, with Comcast? I know someone with Comcast that abused their terms of services, that exceeded the caps. What happens when you exceed the cap? They shut your service down, right?
As far as I understand it, there are grace periods. You get like 1 or 2 grace periods that if you go over, they'll call you and say, hey, you went over your limit, your cap. You used more than 250 gigabytes in a month. Don't do that again. If you do it again, we're going to cut you off.
Well, they don't fully cut you off. What they do is they drop your speeds down to dial-up speed. Now, a lot of people that have Comcast also have Comcast phone, which is voice over IP.
Yep.
They can't make a phone call anymore. They lose phone service.
Well, this is something that these people don't think of when they're doing these things.
So now,
I mean, not the people that are downloading, but the
service,
the ISPs.
I think this is disgusting with the caps. I'm really blown away, and this person was upset and said pretty much I'm full of crap and I should do my research before I speak, but I just wanted to address this because this is a big issue, and maybe, they know not to, go and download whatever they want and upload whatever they want because it's a major problem. This is why I'm with FiOS. You want to get into conspiracy theories? About every 2 months, we have 2 FiOS lines coming into the studio. One is the larger package, which we do most of our uploads and downloads and everything with. And the other one is a backup solution, which we have, I believe, Ustream and the audio feed on.
Yeah.
I'm 24 hours a day I'm uploading. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes. Every 2 months, the service for the larger one, the one that I use more, gets turned off. I have to call them up, and they have to resend the signal to turn my feedback on. I don't know, listen, I may be totally losing it. Maybe it's a total conspiracy theory, but I think there might be something in the system where after a couple months of use, or once you reach a certain threshold, they shut it down so they could investigate what's going on and where this is going.
But doesn't that make sense from their point of view?
Sure, absolutely, it makes sense. And I don't.
Yeah, it's a little bothersome for you, but I think on their end they have a due diligence to make sure that their network is running efficiently.
Absolutely. I'm not arguing that point, but I would love to know if that is the case because it's almost the same time every month or so, or every 2 months, that it just turns off. Just the internet. I have to call, I have to turn it off, and then at the terminal, they reset the terminal for me.
Oh, jeez.
And then it comes back again. And it's constant. So it might be that something is happening. Maybe this is their way of checking to see where this is going. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, you have to understand, and I understand that you have a content creation business, and that consumes an enormous amount of bandwidth.
Absolutely.
And there's just no getting around that. There's just not.
Absolutely.
There's no way to get around that unless you install your own internet line and everything,
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Since we brought up Netflix, you want to go into the Netflix story?
Yeah, I think this is kind of interesting. Let me bring up the notes here real quick. A new study says that Netflix is the largest source of internet traffic in America.
Makes total sense.
In North America, excuse me. Not just United States, but United States and Canada.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
I think it's really interesting. I'm not surprised by it, but at the same time, it's like, no kidding. How is it that in just a matter of
couple years,
4 or 5 years, one company has become the dominant traffic user on the internet?
Let's see here. The latest reports of global internet, spring 2011. Let's see what the number is. 30% of traffic in prime time, 22% of daily internet traffic of North America. Real-time entertainment, including Netflix, shooting up to 55% peak internet traffic by the end of this year. This is astonishing how this company...
That's a lot of bandwidth. Come on.
It's a ton of bandwidth, and it just shows you what we want to do online.
It is. It's like I was just saying with you. It's a content creation business. You have content that you're streaming, and there's no way around that other than to deliver that stream of data.
But this goes directly... This plays directly with the bandwidth caps. How are they doing this? I mean, let's say you cut the cord and you only watch Netflix and Hulu all day long every day. You just watch movie. You might hit a cap. What are the ISPs doing then?
Good question.
What are they doing?
I think that's one of the questions that we've always had lingering around is what happens when somebody is relying on this service so much that it cuts into their bandwidth cap.
I guess you can't, right? That's what it means with some ISPs. I mean, not everybody does the caps, but some people do. Yeah, I mean, you have Comcast.
I think one of the documents I saw from Comcast, because I've read up on this a little bit for my own safety, just to know where the limits are. And they're saying, well, if you think you're getting close to that cap, well, then you need to throttle back. Don't watch as much movies. Don't watch movies in HD. I'm like, you're literally going to tell me how I should and should not use my internet? I don't think so.
Yeah.
If I want to watch a movie in HD, I'm going to watch it in HD. Why would I not want to watch it in HD?
I don't know. This is, you know, and even the video on demand goes based on your internet speeds.
Yeah.
How do they do that? What if you're watching a lot of video on demand with your cable, because with Fios it piggybacks on your internet service with the speeds.
I have no
So how do
idea.
they do that? This is interesting how we've become such a society that relies on the internet for our media. We're not really
we're
connected to the TV
relying on
anymore.
it, yet we're still bound by these limits.
They're saying 55%
I
peak
would-
traffic by the end of the year. I mean, that's astonishing.
I would really love to know what the percentage of people that reach those thresholds, are. I mean, how many people actually do that? Yeah, I'm sure there's a majority of people that don't, but I'm sure there's got to be a percentage of people that do.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be happening, but it can't be that much because we haven't heard the complaints. We haven't heard a huge outcry of people saying, you know, I got capped because of Netflix or Hulu. But we're going to start seeing that more and more as more and more people, you know, kind of get connected. There's a whole generation, my kids, my brother's age, they don't even watch TV. They don't need television. They don't need cable television. All they do is watch everything on their computer. So if you're watching all your movies, all your TV, everything on the internet, it might come into play when these caps become more of an issue. And you know what I'm curious about? There's certain markets that they have 4G as for home use.
Yeah, I've never particularly cared for.
How are they
those
doing
sort of
that?
things.
Now, do you get a cap
I don't
for
know
that?
how they could.
I was
If
reading
you-
about this, and they were saying how if you have 4G in the home, that's not going to play with that same 5 gig cap that you might have with your phone because it's not mobile.
I've been known to use 11 gigabytes of bandwidth in a day.
Yeah, sure. How much have we been
day,
using?
so-
Because you've been uploading a ton. We've been uploading back and forth.
Yeah, like I said, I've gotten up to 11 gigabytes of data
In one day.
in one day. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's unbelievable.
So,
We
but I
need
mean,
to
part of that is just due to the nature of our distribution.
Oh.
It's not because part of it is we distribute it to different channels, not just
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
particular
it's multiple.
source. We go to multiple places and upload it to multiple places. So in a way, it's kind of duplicating the same data, but in a way, that's just how it works.
Let's talk about our other sponsor, FreshBooks. I've been using it. I just sent out an invoice to somebody today for something I did for them, and it was so easy. And I'm like, hey, you want to pay now? He's like, okay, and they just paid it. If you're a freelancer, you're running a small business, the last thing you want to do is manage your invoices. I absolutely hated having to go into Microsoft Word and type up an invoice, come up with a template, and put everything in. It was such a pain. Well, with FreshBooks, it's super easy to use. It's an online invoicing service that takes the pain out of invoicing. It'll literally save you time, get you paid faster, and make you look extremely professional. These invoices look like they came from a Fortune 500 company. You got your seal up top. You got your logo there. Unbelievable. And it's you on camera. Thank you for that. You can easily create an invoice, an email to your client. They could view it online as a PDF. They could save it, and they could pay it right there with either PayPal or 11 other different payment methods. So pretty much every possible way they could pay you. There's no excuse on they couldn't pay you right there. Some features include automated payment reminders, late payment reminders. So if you haven't got it paid by the time, it lets you know. Time tracking widgets, mobile apps, and faster invoicing. The best part about FreshBooks, it's absolutely free. You don't pay a dime for the first 3 clients you have. They have higher packages, but try it out with 3 clients. See how you like it. Go to freshbooks.com right now. Sign up. Remember to put in GFQ when it asks you how you heard about it. And I'll tell you why this is important. A, it's important for me. And B, it's important for you because you qualify to get a free birthday cake. Every week they do a drawing from one of our GFQ fans. And you can win a birthday cake even if it's not your birthday. And these are amazing, amazing birthday cakes. I'm still waiting for mine. I've seen pictures of the cake. I've been taunted with this cake. I have yet to receive my birthday cake.
Well, too bad it's not your birthday anymore.
Well, it shows that they're not just giving it out to people that, know me or me. They're not just sending you, here's the birthday cake. Oh, Andrew wins. Don't just sign up. In fact, go out and send some invoices. See how you like it. It's an amazing service. You're gonna fall in love with it. I know a lot of our viewers do tech support, and they do computer repair and troubleshooting. So this is the best way. Your small business will look like a big business, and it'll get you even more clients by doing this. Go to FreshBooks.com, mention GFQ when you sign up, and get qualified to get a free birthday cake. FreshBooks, thank you very much. I really like this service. I'm telling you.
I think for some, FreshBooks I think is a great fit for somebody like you.
Oh yeah,
I really do, because here you are, you're more or less a startup. You don't necessarily have somebody. You don't have a department to do.
No, I don't have a bookkeeper. No, I don't have that department. Unfortunately, I should though. Well, FreshBooks is my department at this point because everything gets done. It's plugged in once and I just redo it again. That's it.
Yep.
Let's go into Sony because I feel bad at this point. Last week, I said June 6th, right? Remember I said it's going to come up on June 6th. Well, soon after that, they brought it back up. And they brought it back down.
They actually brought things up and down. They've really been not reliable lately. It hasn't been stable at all. I
think being constantly updated is such a crucial thing on the internet. I mean, with any service. If I take off for a week, people forget about me. This is horrible for Sony. And yes, they are a big business. They're not on the same. I'm not on the same scale as Sony, but the same things apply because you're losing faith. The customer has lost total faith in your product.
Oh, absolutely.
How many of these people are going to come back?
Listen, I'm not a gamer per se. I'm not a video game kind of guy. Yet, I still feel betrayed by Sony because they've had. I understand that they've had these issues, but on the other hand, I don't think they've handled it well at all. And I've stated this multiple times before. I think there's better ways to handle issues like this before. I think they could have been much more upfront. I would compare this more or less to the outage that Skype experienced a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But see, they were on top of that. They were like, yeah, we've got a problem. We're working on it. And we've got these super nodes that we're trying to bring back up online and more. And they were nicely ahead of the front of the storm.
And how many million? What is it? 8 million users.
Millions.
For Skype. I forgot the exact number. It was some high number.
I think somewhere around 67 million.
For Skype?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, but how many were affected? That was the thing.
Oh, I have no idea. I think you're right around 8.
Yeah, I don't know why I remember the number 8, but whatever it is. So they were able to get it up, but with Sony, I mean, there were credit card information. This is a big vulnerability. It's not just a service outage. It's a flaw. I mean, they got hacked, and we still don't know the entire story. That's a scary part. We still have no idea what the exact story is. Well,
there's still things out there that could happen as a result of this issue.
Yeah, so they're saying Sony PSN hasn't exactly been hacked again, but what can only be described as a glaring oversight looking into the forces of the company. Hastily turned off PSN. Okay, let's see. If you legitimately forgot your password and need to reset it, previously all you had to do was type your email address and date of birth, then choose your new password. Sounds good. The problem is if you're a PSN member before the hack, then both your email and date of birth were possibly hacked. So whoever has this
is one of the hacks that they were trying to do.
So whoever has this could pretty much restore a new password and could rehack you.
Yeah, that's the scary part of this whole thing, isn't it?
So what's their solution to this?
Well, this wasn't actually the cause of the issue where they had to take down the login page. Sony has updated and said that they've confirmed that there was a URL exploit that they subsequently fixed. However, they said that there's no hacking involved.
Yes. An exploit is not a hack. An exploit is a hack without it being hacked.
It is a very real possibility that whoever has the database with the email and date of birth and all that information could simply use the reset form password.
Well, this person could use the reset form password for anything. A lot of people, and this is a scary thing, a lot of people don't have different passwords. A lot of people just use the same password that they use for their bank on Sony.
But they don't even have to do that. That's the thing. It's in a way, it's a good thing. In a way, it's a bad thing because if you're just resetting the password, you're not going to care what the old password was. You're making
Yeah.
a new one.
Yeah.
So they're not going to make one that is tied to your bank per se, unless they actually are able to decrypt the data that's there and get the password already.
Yeah, this is so bad for them.
I'm
this
saying
is
per se too much. Dang it.
per se.
I don't know. It's my crutch today.
Yeah, my crutch is just my living. That's my crutch. How about we do some picks?
Sure.
I will. You know what? I'll go first this week. Because
Okay.
I never go first.
Bull.
I generally pick like an app. I pick an Android app or an iPhone app. But this week I'm totally taking it a different way. I am going to tell you a little tip on how to save some money. There's all this Windows 8 talk, and a lot of people don't even have Windows 7. They're still stuck on XP or Vista, and they want to move up, but maybe they don't want to spend $100 and something to upgrade or whatever it is, $79 or $100. Well, if you are a student or you have a student in the family, you could get Windows 7 Professional for $29.99.
Nice.
It's an amazing buy. My brother he needed to get Windows 7 today because he has. It's a weird story. He had 7 for whatever reason. He put XP on there and he doesn't have the disc, so he needs to go to 7 now. And he said, "You know what? I want to get it, but I don't want to spend money. It's ridiculous." I said, "Well, why don't you use a student discount? It's like $70 or something." It's like, okay. He went to take a look, and guess how much it was? $30. So I was like, oh, $30.
That's
Why
a
don't
good
you
deal.
get? We got a 32-bit one. We got a 64-bit one, and we also got Office, which is it's with Outlook. It's the full Office for $70.
How many more legitimate copies could they get if they were using pricing like that for everybody?
God,
Would there be piracy?
No, and that's Apple's structure. Really, there's no activation code with Apple. When you get a Mac OS, let's say you go and buy Snow Leopard, there's no security code that you got to put in. I can pretty much give this to everybody. And their outlook is, well, if you're not going to spend $30 to get this, you were never going to buy it in the first place.
Yeah.
So why even come after you? It's not like they lost the sale. It's $30. I could theoretically give OS X to everybody that I know that has a Mac, and they can install it. And it won't ask for you for, password. It won't do any kind of authentication. That doesn't exist with Apple. But, this is a great way. If you have multiple machines, you have a couple kids, they have a .edu, you could do this.
Now, can you only do it once, or can you do it multiple times?
My brother, because it's his account, he bought a 32-bit, he bought a 64-bit, and he got Office 2010.
Okay.
All under $200.
Nice.
It's an amazing buy. All you got to do, let me see the link here, because I don't talk for this long for the picks, but I did want to explain this to the viewers, because it's a great buy, and for $30, there's no reason why you shouldn't get it if you are in college or you know someone in college. A lot of people, I believe Lifehacker had a tip on, even if you're out of college, how to get a .edu. If you go to Lifehacker, you can find it there. Let me see, student.
Are you Googling this?
I am. I student Windows.
You're supposed to have all
7.
this stuff prepared.
I know. I did have it prepared, and I closed it out. It's Microsoft.com/student. It's a crazy URL, actually. We'll post it in the... if you just Google Microsoft... You know what? Just go to Google or Bing and put in Microsoft student discount, and it'll come up. Is Windows 7 Professional for $29.99.
You can't beat that.
I know, you really, really can. And they have a lot of other discounts for students as well. So it's not just that. They're also offering, and this sounds like a Microsoft ad, but it's not. They're also offering, if you buy a Windows 7 laptop for $600 or more, you get a Xbox 360 for free. They're throwing it in.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's great. And that's my pick. My pick is the student discount for Windows 7 for Microsoft. I thought it's a great tip, and a lot of people don't even know. They have no clue.
Yeah, I wish I was a student because there's so many discounts out there for students.
You don't necessarily have to be a student to get them. There are ways around it, Suncast. Ways around it. What's your pick?
My pick this week is a program called TextMorph. It's a powerful text formatting software. It looks just like Notepad, only it's got a few more things in there with the sole purpose of formatting the text. That's the sole purpose of this program, is to take text and format it in a different way than it already is. Here at GFQ and other things that I do, I'm copying data a lot of times, text from websites, and I'm putting it in other websites, and I'm putting it in other text editors, and sometimes the formatting doesn't necessarily always come out right. Well, this is a great program to fix issues like that. If you're copying text from one website to another, or from another document to a website, and you're having these weird formatting issues, that's where TextMorph comes in really handy. You can use this to delete carriage returns. You can change the line spacing.
Okay.
You can alter the characters. You can even do HTML conversion.
So it's like a super notepad.
Yeah, it's like super notepad. I've talked about Notepad++ in the past, but this goes a little bit more beyond what Notepad++ does with being able to modify and reformat the text in a different way than you need it. And one of the cool things that I really do like about this is that you can actually combine different filters. So if there's multiple things that you need to do to it, like you need to delete the first character of every line, and then you need to delete subsequent blank lines between each paragraph, this program can do it. You can combine up to 5 different filters, run them all at the same time. It's really cool. Let's see, you can clean up text like a poem or a list. You can clean up text, HTML conversion, alter characters, change the line spacing, capitalization. You can do uppercase, lowercase, capitalize the first letter of each sentence, proper case, carriage returns. It's just amazing.
Everything.
How many different things this program can do.
What's the website for it?
It's a really different website in the way that it's spelled.
Okay, so what can I Google?
If you just go to ssesetup.com, you can find it on their website, ssesetup.com.
Okay, I got it right here. And it comes in 32 and 64-bit.
Yes.
Excellent. Very nice pick. I thought it was good picks today.
Yeah.
A little different. You know, I went away from the traditional app. I haven't been playing around with the iPad this week. It was weird.
Oh, you fell out of love with it?
No,
finally?
you know what it is? I've been going to bed really late, and I've been working, and I've had a lot of work to do here in the studio. So when I went up to bed, because it's just next to my bed, that's what I use it for. I use it as my like an ebook reader, pretty much. A very expensive ebook reader. I play a couple games on it. It's an in between for how do you what am I saying?
Are you okay?
Yeah. I don't know what I'm
raptured?
saying. It is happening. I see people just floating away. My brain is raptured. It's kind of. It's not a phone, but it's not a laptop either. So it's an in between for me. So I just keep it next to my bed and I read my news. I use Flipboard, which I'll probably pick next week to navigate. For all the new e-readers for me. I don't even know. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm burnt out. I want to tell everybody to go to our website, guysfromqueens.com. Also go to stream at gfqlive.tv, where you can find all our shows and subscribe to us on audio and video podcasts. We're also on the Stitcher Radio app on your iOS and pretty much every other platform you can imagine. Go to Stitcher Radio and subscribe to us. You can follow us on Stitcher. Also, we're giving away Blog World tickets. Sunday, we will announce the winners. We have a couple of people already that want it. If you are going to be in the New York City area between May 24th and 26th, which is next week, and you want to attend Blog World, all you need to do is go to our website, guysfromqueens.com, find the post that says, Blog World Contest, and follow the instructions. It's pretty much, it's as easy as just following us on Twitter and writing to us, tweeting to us.
You just want
I want Blog World tickets.
Make a tweet that says, I want blog tickets.
And that's it. You're good. You enter in to win. So very easy, very fun. We'll see you all next week. Actually, next week we're going to see you from Blog World. So Suncast is going to be there.
I'll be there in person.
Tom is going to be there in person. I still don't believe Suncast is a real person. I think he's just a torso that was genetically
Well, we don't
made.
even know if next week's going to happen yet. So.
Yeah. So it might be the end of the world, and this might be the last time I see you. So
we may never meet after all.
See you in hell, everybody.